Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back to the Thai Expat Daily Show. I'm your host, Kieran Mack, as always, and delighted you've been able to tune in with us yet again for another show. Now, before we do get started, as always, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so that YouTube will let you know when the next video is updated. If you like listening to us on Podcast Player, there is a link down below in the description that will take you to all the available players where the show is hosted. And finally, if you like the show, if you want to support the show, if you want to buy me a coffee, you can do so by looking down in the description as well, where you'll see a link for buymeacoffee.com. So now that that's all done and dusted, let's jump into the 4 stories trending here in Thailand at the moment. So we'll start off with the first one, and it's still about the government here in Thailand, or the lack of, but we do have developments. Pheu Thai bloc excludes move forward. The Pheu Thai Party is cobbling together a 302-seat government without the Move Forward Party, and will nominate property tycoon Srettha Thavisin as Prime Minister in the next round of voting scheduled for this Friday, August 4th, according to sources. The Pheu Thai-led coalition comprises of 10 parties that include 5 new partners. Bumjai Thai, the Palang Pracharat, that's the PPRP, the Democratic Party, the Charapatana Party, and the Charapaknakla Party, the sources said. The 4 other parties are the Pracharat, Pheu Thai Rum Palang, Siri Rum Thai, and Plung Songkham Mai, part of the 8-party bloc formed shortly after the May 14th general election. Move Forward Party heavyweights are reportedly against this development, and the party does not have to vote for the Pheu Thai's prime ministerial candidate if it is pushed into the opposition, according to the sources. The MFP also believe if Pheu Thai decides to bring in any of the uncle parties, the party should deal with the consequences of its decision, said the source. The uncles are referred to as the United Thai Nation UTN, with Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha as its prime ministerial candidate, and the PPRP led by Deputy Prime Minister Prawit Wongsuwan. According to the sources, Pheu Thai has reached deals with the PPRP and the Democratic Party, in which the 2 parties will get 5 and 3 cabinet seats each. General Prawit will not take a cabinet seat, but his younger brother and former National Police Chief General Patchawat Wongsuwan will be part of the cabinet. Police General Patchawat, who is known to have ties with Pheu Thai, was appointed as the PPRP's chief advisor last weekend in what is widely seen as a move to pave the way for the PPRP to join the Pheu Thai-led government. The PPRP new Cabinet Secretary General, Captain Tamanat Prompao, Deputy Leader Chaiwut Taksuwansorn, and MP for Kampeng Phet Pai are tipped to be part of the cabinet. Now, just to let everybody know before we continue, the Tamanat Prompao, this is the convicted heroin trafficker, just to let everybody know. And this guy was convicted and spent 4 years in prison in Australia for trafficking of heroin, and he's going to be in the cabinet. Democratic MP for Songkhla is tipped to be the Deputy Prime Minister and Agricultural Minister, and the Democratic MP for Nakhon Si Thammarat is expected to become a Deputy Interior Ministry. According to the sources, the UTN have not been approached to join the bloc to avoid a strong resistance from Pheu Thai supporters and its current partners, the Thai Party and Pheu Party. This formula is hoped to bring the Senate to vote for the Pheu Thai candidate, said one of the sources. If Pheu Thai succeeds, the opposition camp will have 198 seats. Pheu Thai Deputy Leader Phumtham Wechachai said on Monday the 8-party coalition partners will tentatively meet on Wednesday to review talks that his party has had with those outside the bloc and senators. He said those MPs and senators have so far remained firm that they will vote for the Pheu Thai Prime Ministerial candidate only if the MFP is excluded from the coalition. That's what we have and will bring to the meeting before the party's MPs meet on August 3rd, he said. So this seems to be the state of affairs at the moment. The Pheu Thai Party now are willing to jump into bed with anybody they literally can find to make a government. I mean, the PPRP are basically the political arm of the junta that have ousted Yingluck Shinawatra, who have made sure over the years that Thaksin is prosecuted as much as possible, who've ensured that the Pheu Thai Party over the last 10 years have been basically out in the wilderness, and the first thing the Pheu Thai does to get that little sniff of power is to bring these guys in. It's fascinating to believe that people who are such polar opposites in terms of what they want for the country are willing to make deals like this. And it just shows you how little Pheu Thai really care about the vote and the will of the people. I see today that their Prime Ministerial candidate, Srettha Thavisin, he was heard before the election basically saying that he wanted to amend 112. That's the lèse majesté law. Now he's backtracking as quickly as possible, telling everybody that, oh, we can't touch that. It's amazing how they can change and how manifestos suddenly don't matter for anything when you run for election. The only people and the only party that seem to be standing up for what they got voted in to do are the Move Forward Party. They are unwilling to change their stance on anything. They are unwilling to compromise on their manifesto. They told the people, if we get into power, this is what we're going to do. And they, you know what, it shows that they at least have a principle, that they're not willing to change for the sake of going into government with people who they see have destroyed this country over the last 10 years. And I think they're right. And I saw one comment from a Move Forward Party MP, which was it was honest about it. They said, look, I ran on these principles. I'm not willing to change my principles. And I'm better to sit in the opposition camp and on the opposition benches and be able to hold my head up high, knowing that I did the right thing. And I think that says a lot about the Move Forward Party. Of course, this is probably one of the reasons they don't want Move Forward in government, is because they want to govern with principles. It's something that we haven't seen in this country for quite a while, but we'll see what goes on. I mean, things change very quickly as well in this country, and at the rate it's going, who knows what will happen on August 4th. Now, another story, and this one is in relation to tourism. Call for reintroduction of visa waiver scheme. That's the visa fee waiver scheme. Tourism operators want the government to reintroduce a visa fee waiver scheme in a bid to boost Chinese and Indian arrivals within this year after experiencing tepid recovery in several key markets. Marisa Sukasal, president of the Thai Hotels Association, said a visa fee waiver scheme should be applied to potential countries with huge populations such as China and India, as tourists now mostly stayed in Bangkok, Pattaya and Phuket. Although Thailand has already gained more tourists with high spending power, many hotels are dependent on budget travellers and large tour groups, said Ms. Marisa. Since India has overtaken China as the world's most populous country with a growing workforce, this could be an opportunity for Thailand to draw more Indian tourists and encourage them to travel to other cities. She said diverse segments can benefit hotel businesses at all scales, as Indian tourists travelled with different purposes such as leisure, independent tourists, incentive groups, wedding groups and those seeking adventure tours or health and wellness services. Ms. Marisa said the government should also consider extending the eligible period to stay for tourists and visa on arrivals. Now, the president of the Thai Hotels Association and Thai Travel Agents said the visa waiver would help boost the Chinese market, which is now facing slow growth due to a tepid economy and visa application obstacles. Mr. Siddhavashar said once the government is formed, it should immediately introduce visa fee waiver scheme for 3 months at the minimum, as seen in 2014 and 2018. He said Chinese visitors will face challenges, chiefly the slow visa approval, which takes more than 10 days, discouraging large group tours from visiting. The Tourism Authority of Thailand is assisting the consulates in the pre-screening process in order to reduce the waiting time. Now, the TAT director of the New Delhi office said an increase in tax collection for outbound packages from India, up from 5% to 20% starting from October, could impact market growth this year. The air service agent between Thailand and India, which limits flight capacity to only 39,000 seats per week to 6 cities in India, also poses a challenge. The TAT predicts 1.5 to 1.6 million Indian tourists this year, a drop from the target of 2 million set earlier. As of July 16, Thailand had received over 14 million foreign tourists, with Chinese tourists tallying 1.6 million and 826,000 Indian tourists. So a bit of a call for visa fee waivers. So mainly this will be the visa on arrival that Indian and Chinese get if they come here. I forget how much it is, but anyway, it's not that long either. I think you get about 15 days. Could be wrong, could be 7 days as well. I'm not 100% sure on that. And after a quick Google there, it is 15 days. So they get 15 days when they arrive in Thailand, and I don't believe they can actually extend that either. Now, I see it one thing as, allowing people to come in free to the country. I mean, many countries charge for visas. Indeed, if I go abroad with my wife and she needs a visa or I need a visa, we both have to pay. So that's part and parcel of travel these days. Personally, I would think, and what might be a better idea, rather than lose the actual income of the visa on arrival, which if you think you have 1.6 million people coming spending a visa fee, this is a large chunk of money that will, in essence disappear, which can be used by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and whatnot to run their offices around the world. Instead of that, how about just make the 15 days 30 days? And I think that gives people a longer period of time in the country. I would never think that a visa fee, which really is quite minute, is an obstacle to travel for anybody. If you can't afford the visa fee, I don't think you really should be coming to Thailand. It's probably a bit too expensive for you then. But if they're worried about this whole issue with, groups applying for visas in China and it taking more time, open up an online application, like many, many countries do. I don't know exactly why there's such length of applications, why it's taking so long. We never had this problem prior to COVID, so all of a sudden it's after COVID it's become a problem. So it does seem to me that possibly the Ministry of Foreign Affairs have changed how they process these visas. Maybe they need to go back to the old way and at least be able to process them in a quickly and timely fashion. But that's just my take on it all. I'm not really sure what the huge issues are. I do think that a lot of these associations, these Thai hotel associations that you hear, they're only looking after number one. They don't care about the revenue that might go to the government. They don't care about anything else other than filling their hotels. So I guess it is a little bit one-sided. Now, moving along, and this stems from the murder of a German a few weeks ago. We brought you that story. His body had ended up being chopped up and put into a freezer, and they have arrested the people involved in it. But driving out the gangs, the Royal Thai Police will now look into 5 major biker gangs based in the country after arresting the leader, an Austrian national, and some members of the Outlaws motorcycle club in Pattaya on July 21st. The arrest of gang leader Mr. Thomas follows an incident in which a gang member, Olaf Thorsten, was involved in the murder of Hans-Peter Mack, a 62-year-old German property broker in Nong Pru district in Chonburi in June. For the murder case, police also arrest 3 other suspects, Petter Christi Grundreif, Nicole Frevel, and Shakru Karim Udin. Police General Srettha Thavisin, better known as Big Joke, Deputy National Police Chief, told local news media that the police are still working to eradicate crimes conducted by foreigners living on Thai soil. 5 major gangs are on our radar, he said, adding they are the Outlaws Motorcycle Club, or Outlaws MC, Hells Angels Motorcycle Club, Bandidos Motorcycle Club, which is also known as the Bandido Nation, the Mongols Motorcycle Club, or the Mongol Brotherhood, and the Vagas or Vegas Motorcycle Club, which is also known as the Green Nation. The Outlaws also have their networks in Phuket and Koh Samui and Surat Thani, he said, adding the other gangs live in other parts of the country, mainly tourist destinations. The gang members tend to ride big bikes like Harley Davidson motorcycles, have tattoos, and are involved in narcotic, drug distribution, and other criminal activities, including assault, extortion, theft, loan sharking, fraud, money laundering, attempted murder, or murder. Most of the gangs in Thailand are run by Australian nationals, he said, adding they are international outlaw motorcycle clubs that have members in many countries around the world. Some members come to Thailand and live in places that attract foreign tourists such as Phuket, Pattaya and Koh Samui. Their targets are foreigners. They demand protection fees from foreigners who want to run businesses in cities where the gangs exist or even abduct them for money. They do not harm Thais because they know they will get into trouble easier than doing it to foreigners who will soon fly back to their home countries, he said. Now, Police General Surachat said the lack of strict law enforcement and corrupt officials are other reasons the gang members chose to base themselves here in Thailand. He cited the Immigration Act as an example. He said the 1979 law is outdated and needs mended. For example, requirements for obtaining a retirement visa are easy, he said, adding the law requires any foreigner aged at least 50 years or older to have at least 800,000 baht in their bank account or an income certificate with a monthly salary not less than 65,000 baht. That requirement is too low and does not help screen quality applicants. A lack of inspection of bank statements by Immigration Bureau officers also leaves room for some foreigners to window dress their bank accounts. Some even get help from visa agencies or immigration officers, such as the case in which 107 immigration officers helped more than 3,000 Chinese nationals involved in grey businesses obtain visas in February, he said. Stronger visa criteria could help prevent gang members or those on international criminal blacklists from entering the country. When mafia gangs still exist, foreigners do not feel safe. They may not want to travel to Pattaya or invest in the eastern seaboard. This causes huge damage to the country. Police General Srettha said police need to build trust among locals and foreigners. They need to enforce laws and ensure safety for international visitors. We will eradicate bad guys not only among gangs but also among police officials and agencies involved with foreigners. We need to make our foreign visitors feel safe when they come to Thailand, he said. He cited an incident where a 22-year-old Chinese student was kidnapped for a ransom of 500,000 yuan, 2.3 million baht, from her family's living room in China as another example. The student was found tortured and murdered, with her corpse dumped in a ditch in Nonthaburi in April. The kidnappers were arrested in China. News of the incident spread like wildfire, scaring many Chinese visitors who decided not to come to the kingdom. Nevertheless, that seems to be the case. I mean, this isn't, by the way, some kind of new breaking news story in relation to biker gangs here in Thailand. It has been well known for quite a while. Again, I think Major Surchat, he's a little bit off on some of this. He's talking about making the retirement, a criteria for retiring here in Thailand, more stricter. I mean, if you ask anybody who gets a retirement visa here in Thailand, immigration officers have you jumping through hoops, right? You go in with 2 inches of paperwork to get your visa each year. They have you doing cartwheels, backflips, and whatever else they can get you to do to get the visa. So this idea that it's because of the retirement visa, which is the problem, and that if we raise the threshold, we'll get more quality. No, you won't get more quality. You're just going to get less people coming to the country. A lot of people find it hard enough and leaving 800,000 baht in your bank account pretty much for, half a year. They can go around and say, well, this is how these biker gangs are exploiting it. But are they? Is this how biker gang members are exploiting it? Or are they just living on visas, tourist visas? Or are they all getting volunteer visas? Which, by the way, volunteer visas are one of the big issues in this country that need to be looked at, along with educational visas. These are totally exploited by agencies here in Thailand. I mean, the amount of volunteer visas that have been going around over the last couple of years is a disgrace. Everybody seems to be on a volunteer visa because agents, Thai agents, by the way, figured out a loophole and a way to get around, many of the different rules and regulations to get people these visas. They always like to focus on things that will affect the average retired expat here in the country, rather than focus on the things that really would matter. Educational visas, a lot of us will know that they're exploited all the time by these visa agents, all the time, along with, as I said, volunteer visas. But now let's go and make the threshold higher for retirees coming here. I mean, a lot of retirees are on fixed incomes in this country and they live a nice life. But, if you start raising the thresholds for how much money you had to have in your bank account and stuff like that, I mean, they'd have to start looking for new places to live. And I don't think that would be very fair either. I think if you want to eradicate crime and groups, I mean, if you know who these people are, which, judging by the fact that they gave a fairly good description, they ride Harleys, they got tattoos, we know they're involved in this, that and the other, then go after them. It can't be that hard. Police here in Thailand harass everyone, all the time. So why not harass these bikers? If you know who they are, you know where they're living. Scrutinise their records, their visas, and make sure that when they apply for a visa, that everything, is done properly. Do a background check on them because you know who the people are. Don't start picking on retirees who come to the country who just want to enjoy their time and decide, well, we're going to make things harder because we have some bad bikers in the country. Seems a little bit ridiculous to me. But I'd love to know, guys, what you think about that. And judging on the age category that watch and listen to the show here on YouTube, especially here on YouTube, I can see there's probably a lot of retirees who live here in the country. I'd love to know what you think about it. I mean, would you be happy to start seeing the threshold for retirement visas here in this country go up, also that they can, eradicate biker gangs? I mean, I'd love to know your opinions, as always, gentlemen and ladies, down below in the comment section. And finally, this one actually gave me a bit of a giggle. 11 million baht bill gives hotel owner a jolt. The Provincial Electricity Authority on Monday apologised to a small hotel owner in Surat Thani's Koh Samui district for miscalculating her usage and sending her a bill of more than 11 million baht last month. Thanapan Tiaswan, Director General of the PEA's Communication Affairs, said the agency discussed the error in the bill calculation with Apasanat Patanasatorn after the story went viral on social media. Ms. Apasanat originally posted a picture of the bill for July for the 8-room hotel on a dedicated Thai consumer protection website. In the image, she is seen showing her horror at the news the hotel had consumed a shocking 5 billion units of electricity and racked up a bill of 11 million baht. Ms. Apasanath said that her hotel normally only pays between 30 to 50,000 baht for electricity every month, so she immediately rang the Koh Samui PA call centre but was diverted to an answer phone message asking her to call back on Thursday following the holiday weekend. Well, that's lovely, isn't it? Anxious, she took to Facebook to air her grievance. Koh Samui's PA call centre said, "I have to wait until August 3rd to hear back from them. I'm really concerned," she posted. Eventually, the PA apologised and explained that it was an employee's keying a digit into the wrong row, which had jacked up the total charge. The Koh Samui PA also assured Mrs. Apanath that her amended July bill will be around 46,878. Yeah, I mean, could you imagine getting a bill for 11 million baht? Jesus, get a shock. I'd say a heart attack some people might get. But anyway, well, it hasn't happened to me yet, and I hope it hasn't happened to you. But I mean, it does occasionally happen here in Thailand. I've seen a few stories on the internet about it. But anyway, folks, that is it for today. Delighted as always you've been able to tune in with us, and hopefully you have a great day, and we'll see you in the next couple of days. Stay safe out there, and thanks again. But ultimately, with this story or anything else that stood out to you today, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments down below. Because yes, this is a news show, but it's also a conversation. Now keep that conversation going. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, share the video, and do all the good stuff that does help that YouTube algorithm. But ultimately, my name is Kieran Mack. You've been listening to the Thai Expat Daily Show, and we will see you next time.